Look for it on your phone.
Well, I don't even know how to pull it up. Someone has to call me.
Wait, what's your name again? There we go.
ERIC.
Nope, you're not on. My phone is. Eric. Wait for it.
This is just to prove that everyone can be a fanboy or girl. Oh.
What a flop. What a flop.
No,
International call!
I just cost you like $5. It was $17 phone call to Daniela Ruah. Anyway, did anyone hear that? It's the Stranger Things theme. Because that show is perfect.
It's a great show.
Every season, because apparently the next season's set in the 90s, so then they're gonna, if there's a third season, they could bring it into 2000, then eventually it could kind of catch up on time, so who knows?
Well, unless they're selling national secrets and putting America at risk, I don't know that we would be involved.
Yeah, I think...
Are they?
2 new shows, one SWAT, and there's a new Navy SEAL show that I think lives in the same world that we could do crossovers with that, which would be, I think, would be interesting. Both of those are on CBS.
That's good. And you've had a very busy year. The series has been going from strength to strength. What has been when you first heard the plans, what was going to happen? What was the thing that surprised you the most and caught you off guard the most?
Well, everything that happened this season, or at least in the first half of the season, was very much based on hiding my pregnancy. The storyline that you guys got was very similar to the original storyline that I was told was going to happen, and I'm not sure that I'm even allowed to, well, maybe I can't say it. So, for those of you who have or have not, I'm assuming if you're here you've seen the season. So Kenzie obviously becomes debilitated for a short while, and then eventually recovers. Originally the storyline is that she was going to actually lose a limb. And I remember when our showrunner was like, what do you think of this? And I was so almost devastated for Kenzie, because it's kind of difficult to emotionally distance myself from her when it comes to her happiness or her sadness, whatever it is. And then I thought, if I were offered a movie that had this plot line, I wouldn't even hesitate at the challenge of playing this, crazy roller coaster of an emotional journey to recovery. But unfortunately, I think there was another show that was being written about a female lead who had lost a limb, and they didn't want 2 CBS shows with the same kind of thing going on, so we ended up scrapping that idea, and she had an injury that she eventually recovered from. So it was kind of all over the place. They were just trying to figure it out to hide my pregnancy, and once they came up with this plot line, I think it was brilliant. Personally, it's my favorite season of all.
Mine too.
Kenzie and Deeks evolved greatly as a couple, and yeah, go ahead.
No, that's it. I think that we have a new showrunner this year, Scott Gamble, and I think he has an interesting forte for writing, which is that he's really good at action, he's really good at comedy, he's really good at banter, he's really good at kind of the emotional evolution of characters, and I think we had our strongest season to date this past year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is, and it happens in life, we have expectations or a plan for what it is that we're going to do with our lives. And then something comes in the way in the form of an obstacle, and we have to adapt. And because of that, sometimes our lives become better. And I think this show is an example of when Danny got pregnant this time, they obviously weren't going to do her trapped under a helicopter in Syria and have her go through all this stuff. But because of that obstacle, I think we ended up getting the best storyline we've ever had for these 2 characters.
And
I think Eric and I have been working together for so long at this point that there's a lot of unsaid, that we both go in the same direction just because we know each other's style and kind of, and maybe at this point we even have very similar or the same instincts within scenes of how they should be. And listen, just because something's serious, not everybody, you don't have to play something seriously to be a serious situation. And I can even speak for example, when we're in, shootouts and we're chasing the bad guys and he's cracking jokes and she's like, shut up, Deeks. It's, people diffuse stress in different ways, and humor is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And I think, that's kind of where some of this, I think, is probably born from.
And I think that's part of that is Scott Gemmell, who's our showrunner, is really good at that balance too, because I think the philosophy behind that type of writing is that when we have just drama, a form of self-preservation prepares us for the drama, for the very serious conversations. And that's kind of withholding a piece of ourselves from committing to whatever that scene is or that conversation. And comedy does the opposite, which is pulls you in and disarms you. So if you can find a combination, which is, I just talked about this in the press up there, one of my favorite scenes ever is when Deeks, after he's been tortured, hasn't slept in months. And Kenzie comes over with Chinese food, and there's this really delicate scene that is both comedic and heartbreaking and dramatic and romantic, all of those things, which is the best version of what we want in relationships, that is so disarming and so honest and dramatic and wonderful because of that.
And there were a lot of little improvs in that scene, by the way, which is why they left the camera on both of us. A lot of times, if you notice, they'll go to his face and my face and come back and forth. In this scene, they just kind of had most of it in a two-shot where you always saw both of us because there were so many little improvs and reactions to those improvs that you kind of needed to have everything stay together. I feel like it's more intimate that way. Like you feel like you're sitting in the living room with those two people. So.
But that's it. I mean, it's trying to find that combination because, again, that's life. You know what I mean? It's not just one fragment of it.
So we